everyone for another edition. This month we are looking at superstar growers. Kyla, welcome.
Thank you. Actually haven't been here for a while, so it's nice to be back in the chair.
You've been busy doing,
I've been filming other stuff.
Filming some other things, yeah, exactly.
Not wine related, although we do drink a lot of champagne. Anyway.
So we're looking at two superstar growers, and what do they need to be superstar growers? Well, we're looking at the amount of energy and effort and commitment these two growers put into making their wines.
It's a philosophy, isn't it?
It's a philosophy, it's a belief system, it's an understanding.
It's a passion.
It's a passion.
And it's exciting, and I think you've chosen two houses that very much epitomise a rock star grower, but they're very different. They're different in their history, they're different in their approach. We've got a house like Tarlant that was one of the first grower champagne maisons outright, back in the 1600s. And then we've got a new maison, Pascal Doquet. Obviously his lineage has been growing wine and champagne for a long time, but he took over in 2004. So a very different approach, but two awesome producers, two awesome wines.
Yeah.
Well chosen.
Thank you. So the first superstar grower we're going to introduce you today is this guy, Pascal Doquet. Now, Pascal has been involved in winemaking for many, many years, going back, his family go back to the 1930s, making wine, and in coming into it in 1993, he started working with his parents, and eventually in 2003, they sort of finished up their label, and then in 2004, he launched the Pascal Doquet brand.
And this is more and more common, that you've got a lineage of families, but sometimes the children don't necessarily take over the whole parcel, so they might break it up. And I think that's the understanding here, where Pascal has his vineyards.
You got it.
Doing it his way.
Yes, and they have a Society Recolton, or an SR, which is what that side of the family does, and then there's his own label. And it's about 8.66 hectares. He's amazing with what he does. He's really about terroir, he's really about working the soil, and in fact he's really more so about working the plants, which is something I found more fascinating as part of his viticultural approach.
Now, bless us some pretty good fruit. We're in the Côte de Blanc, so the master of Chardonnay, generally pure chalky soils, but he's got a couple of different subterroirs and subterranes.
That's right. And he's this particular wine, we'll go into in a minute, is actually a blend of 3 different vineyards.
Okay, so he's got this organic approach. So he's totally passionate about taking out the chemicals and any use of herbicides, pesticides.
Which happened many moons back, and he's now, 2010 was when he was certified organic.
Yep.
But he'd been working that way for...
Tango's chasing the cork.
Quite some time.
Hey, buddy. We love the wine. Tango likes to eat the cork. Give it back to him. It's one of his favourite things. It's a pursuit of the cork. Thank you. So, and he's a big believer in ground cover. So, he...
Yes. So he talks about different things like chickweed or amaranth, and that if you have an abundance of either, it shows really healthy soils or really healthy sort of nitrogen content. And that's a really great way of looking at things below the earth to get a better understanding as to how your wines will be performing and looking as they go.
Yeah.
He also believes in longer aging as well, and he's one of the only growers that does that for his wines. So we're looking at the wine from Pascal Doquet. It's the Arpège Brut Nature Blanc de Blanc. It's actually coming from 3 different vineyards, which is Vertus, which is where they're based, Villeneuve, and also Mont-Amé. That's how we say it?
Mohammed.
Yeah, Mohammed. And they're all very different in terms of soil type and expression. And what he's done beautifully here is marry these different soils to create this sort of layered effect, or what is known in Italian as arpeggio, which is this chord ascending or descending.
Yes.
That's what we discovered.
Yes.
That's what it's sort of relating to.
So
how did you find this one?
I loved this champagne. So for me, you've got Zero Dosage. It's a Blanc de Blanc, so we're all Chardonnay. We've got 5 years on lees. We've got a third of the wine aged in barrel. We've got good, generous supply of reserve wines. For me, it was palate perfection, poised at its finest. sometimes when you've got a zero dosage wine, so you've got no sugar in that final part of the winemaking, the acidity, especially from Côte de Blanc, where you've got Chardonnay, which has a lot of tension and sort of raciness, I didn't get any of that abrasiveness that sometimes you can get with a zero dosage. I thought it was perfect. It was balanced to perfection.
I love it.
Almond paste, nougat, this kind of salty fudge. You know when you have the fudge and the little crystalline salt pieces inside?
Yeah, the good one.
The good one.
I agree.
Yeah, of course.
I feel the same. It sort of had that mineral intensity, some sort of smoky undertones, which are really, really lovely.
Spice.
And this orange citrus play. So there's that salty and citrus thing happening all the time, but it felt layered and there was always something unfolding. It was never just, here you go, this is the wine.
And
so
I love that. So,
yeah.
you know, the shadow of the wine, the memory of the wine, the length. So once you've finished that sip, how long the memory of the aroma plays on the palate goes on and on and on, but it finishes so clean, so dry, so beautiful that it calls you back to the glass. You know, it keeps calling you back. It's just one of those wines where one glass is just not enough.
You heard it first.
I loved it.
And actually, you don't even feel that it's like a Brut Nature.
No.
It so beautifully balances so much natural fruit, freshness, cleanliness, and complexity that just keep you coming back.
What does Pascal Doquet say? He said that the introduction of organics, so moving towards that organic profile,
right, yep.
provides a length and a harmony in his wines that he couldn't achieve
previously.
He's got it.
Yeah.
He's nailed it. Second producer for this month is the Maison Tarlant. This is a super exciting house. I mean, they're actually a little bit tricky to secure, these wines, aren't they? Because they're in such global demand. The quantity is about 120,000 bottles a year, which is not big.
Yeah, it's not big. They may have grown slightly, but they're around there.
Now, there's two things that I love about this Maison. One is the precision, the focus on viticulture, but the second thing is they've got such a rich tapestry of history, and people who know me know that I love history of Champagne. The house has been around since 1687. Benoit Tarlant, who's the current winemaker, is the 12th generation in the vineyard with his sister, who's also working in the company now, Melanie Tarlant. His forefather, Pierre, founded the house. Louis, who is the next descendant, Louis was the mayor of Oeuilly.
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 It's a tricky one.
It is tricky.
These French towns, seriously.
It's much easier to pronounce after a few glasses of champagne.
I probably even said that wrong, but I think it's
So Louis Tarlant was the mayor of the town, and he was absolutely instrumental in the classification system in Champagne. So around this point in time, in the late 1800s, some of the Champagne houses were actually bringing in fruit from other parts of France and including other countries like Portugal. And this outraged Louis.
How dare they?
How dare
How
they?
dare they?
Louis, the family, of course, were a grower who was selling their grapes at the time to the big houses. He was instrumental in the classification system and putting this AOC, this appellation of Champagne, into position where you can't bring fruit in from outside the region. And he swore at this point that his family would never sell one grape to the big houses from this time. And they were one of the first grower Champagne producers in Champagne. So very different story to Pascal Doquet, who's from 2004. We've got one of the first growers from the region, and what an amazing honor to represent them so many generations on.
And an amazing introduction to the house. And I've spoken with the Tarlants over many years, and I've managed to see them both 2018 and 2019, saw their wines, they look great. So it's awesome to have them here.
They're pretty special, aren't they?
Yeah.
So the wine that we're featuring from Maison Tarlant is ZERO Brut Nature, and this is, 90% of production. It's the vast majority of the production of the house. This is the wine that Benoit is toiling over. What I love about this wine, it's a labor of love. It's reflective of their vineyards. It's a third, a third, a third. So a third Chardonnay, third Pinot Noir, third Meunier. It is 6 months aged in Burgundy barrels, and we're talking a neutral barrel, so a barrel that's been used many, many, many times, imparting no flavour.
That's right, and there's Lee's sort of play, a little bit of batonnage here and there to keep things moving along, adding some texture to it.
Now they have 4 villages that they're sourcing from, but this house is very much focused on terroir segmentation. So there's 62 plots that they've identified that have a slightly different terroir. Each of these plots is being cut, pressed, fermented and are aged separately. 62 sub-terroirs. It gives them ultimate control in the blending process, in really being able to identify sub-terroirs within their vineyards. And also you see some single vineyard wines coming out of these, out of this house, out of these vineyards.
Yep.
Third, 6 years on lees. Now this is an awful long time, but I think the wine needs it, and that's because we have one significant feature in this wine. We are blocking malolactic fermentation. So we are retaining malic acid, tart acid, not converting to that softer lactic acid. And instantly when you look at this wine, you feel the zing, the zip, the raciness of that acidity.
But in saying that as well, and yes you do, it's beautifully enveloped in the texture of lees and thyme. You can see it's nicely put together. The fruit starts to unfold ever so slightly of pear and quince. You've got this sort of soft marshmallowy texture that starts to play on the tongue, and there's this lovely salinity, almost like a manzanilla sherry or some salted almonds, but just in the background with that oxidative effect. So really quite a technical feat. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. And I think that you need to give the wine a little bit of time. Let it open up. When I first put the wine on my palate, the race of acidity, the tension.
Oh, you were a bit judgmental off the bat. Just give it some time.
Quick draw McGraw, you're getting this welling of saliva and it's like, ooh, is that malic acid too much?
Even now, this has been open about 10-15 minutes and it's starting to show some of that red fruit spectrum and orange rind, things like that. It's lovely.
And because you've got time in barrel, you've got oodles in the cellar, you've got a wine that actually will slowly unfold within the glass. If you don't get through the bottle in the first night, that's okay. Let it go for a couple of days and keep coming back to it and revisiting it, because it's a wine that's got so many layers of complexity, it will continue to unfold. I think the wine is fantastic. It is super rich, it's oxidative, almond, all of that richness and baguette toastiness, but with this beautiful salinity. You're right, this kind of crisp salinity.
Beautiful wine. Well, that's it for this month. We just wanted to wrap up by, summarizing some beautiful points about these superstar growers and what makes them superstars, right? So they've worked their butts off in making something really special for everyone and also for themselves. There's this real attention to detail. There's a passion that goes beyond where most people will just give up, okay? So to have that S on your chest as a grower, you really need to say, right, I'm going for it, and whatever happens, I'm gonna make sure that I put as much energy and focus into my production.
And I think you're right, because sometimes it's tough in Champagne. It's certainly tough being organic in Champagne. You have these weather occurrences and there's a lot of trial and tribulation in a region like Champagne. You need to have this sort of direct line of thought where you're not changing your philosophy based on how hard things get. And I think these guys embody that. They're really passionate, they're very staunch in their ideology, and they make wine for them. They don't listen to anybody else,
They work with each other, of course, and they learn from each other, but I think you had quite a few people in your masterclasses asking you, why are organics any different to your standard Champagne? And this is it. These are the wines that really stand out, and you'll see it. You'll have, let's just say, a big name brand at some point, and then you'll have this as a reference. You go, okay,
I get it.
I get it now.
The length, the power, the poise, it's all there. It's all dancing around in the glass. These wines are epic. Both of them are epic.
So enjoy them, post about them, make some food, eat, share with your friends when you
drink
can.
them slow.
In your respective states. Victoria, we're still in lockdown.
Can I say something a bit controversial? And this is probably good. Now, we're in lockdown in Melbourne, but not anywhere else.
That's right.
Please enjoy these wines not in a massive social situation.
Yes.
These wines need contemplation, they need time, they need silence. Maybe a little bit of soft jazz will do the part. Drink them with someone who loves
Don't
Champagne.
do soft jazz. Do something else.
He's going to do hip hop, but that's cool. Beats and bubbles. But you know, really think about the wine. There's a lot of love, passion and precision that's gone into making each of these wines. And I think that just slow them down, enjoy the experience, think about what's gone into it and just do it really slowly. They're both amazing cuvées. Well done, Kiri.
Thank you.
Beautiful selection yet again.
That's right, and they are exclusive. They have been flown over especially for you. So until next month, we'll see you then. Have a great time.
Take care.
Enjoy your champagnes.
Bye.
See ya.
He's eating the cork.
Said every alcoholic.
I'm not an alcoholic. I'm many things, but I'm not an alcoholic.
Both rock hard erections. Fine. Okay. I can envision that. High energy, medium energy.
Fast energy. Let's go, baby. I get excited, and then I'm like,
You do it, right? You go. That's how I taste.
so Kiri, if you took me out on a date,
Yeah.
what would, and I was sitting at the bar.
Hold on. Let me just imagine that. Right?
Just visualize it.
Otherwise, people are like, "Oh, what are you doing?"
I think I just need a sip of water. Sorry. I've just had like 2 glasses of champagne and now I'm fried.